Hi guys, welcome to Pouches and More, and today we'll prepare the sanitary pad pouch which you can carry around in your bag while traveling. So let's get started. Let's check out the materials required to make this sanitary pad pouch. We'll require one piece of main fabric fused with interfacing and one piece of lining, both measuring 7 inches by 14 inches. We'll also require one set of press buttons. You can use any buttons. Next, what you're going to do is we take a rectangle measuring 3.5 inches by 5.5 inches. This is 1.25 inches. And this is half inches on both sides. So we are cutting it like this. We'll also curve the bottom. So this is how it will look. This is for the flap. Now we have done this. We'll cut this on a piece of lining and a piece of main fabric fused with interfacing. This piece of fabric is for binding. It measures 1 inch by 8 inch. What we're going to do with this fabric is we're going to fold it from the center and then meet the raw edges in the center again like this, and again fold it. We'll iron this whole thing. This is for the binding. Next, what we're going to do is, this is the flap. We're going to fold it in half. This is only the lining piece of the flap. We'll fold it in half, make a marking in the center like this, and around 1 inch above we'll be stitching the press button. We'll be sewing it by hand. So we have done that. Next, we'll take the main fabric which is fused with interfacing and place it like this, and we'll have to make a binding all around this. So we have done this. Now for the binding, we're going to keep the fabric like this. This is the folded part. The raw edge, we'll keep it to the raw edge and we'll clip it. Now we'll slowly turn it around and sew. So now we'll sew it like this. Now we are going to turn it, keep the needle down and slowly turn it in the turning. What we can do is make a small cut over here, only on the piece of lining, that is the binding, and it is easy to turn it. So we are turning it and stitching it like this. We'll do this on the entire flap. Similarly, the other side also, where it turns, we are going to give a small cut and finish off the binding. Once this is done, we'll remove it and we'll just turn it. So we'll cut off this extra cloth. Now we'll fold it on the fold as it was and we will turn it like this. Now on the wrong side, we will fold it like this and we'll have to make a stitch. So we'll just take it to this sewing machine and complete this entire thing. It's just a simple stitch all around. We'll be folding it on the other side. I'll complete the whole thing. In the turns, we can just keep the needle down and slowly turn it. Lift the foot and turn it. So that is done. We're finished with the flap. This is how it will look. So this is the flap and the binding is done. Now we'll take the main fabric and we'll place the right side facing up. We'll fold it like this lengthwise to get the center, and we'll make a marking. This is the center. Now we'll take the flap and fold it in half. This is also to get the center and make a mark in the center. Now we are going to match the centers, that is the flap center and the main fabric center. We have not stitched the lining. This is only the main fabric and the flap center matching, and we're going to make a straight stitch. So as of now, we'll just clip it like this. This is how we have clipped it. Now what we're going to do is, we'll take the lining and place it on this. So we have got, we're just going to clip it, just remove the clip from down and put it on together like this. So now we have got the main fabric right side facing up, the flap the right side facing together, and the lining on that. So the flap is in between the lining and the main fabric. So now we're going to make a straight stitch on this. This is for attaching the flap. We're just going to align the fabric like this and make a straight stitch. Just a simple straight stitch. So our flap will be done. So that is done. Just cut off the thread. Now once this is done, we are going to open it, open the lining, separate them. Now we'll take the main fabric, only the main fabric, not the lining, only the main fabric. The other side we are going to make a center mark. This is the flap, the other side of the main fabric. On one side we have the flap, on the other side around 5 inches, 4 to 5 inches below. Yeah, around 4 to 5 inches below, depends. You have to around 4 inches down. We are going to stitch the base of the press button, and we are going to hand sew this also. So this is 4 inches below in the center mark. We have done that. Now what we are going to do is, we'll take the lining and like this. Now the flap is in the center, and we are going to make a straight stitch on the other side. So this is how it will be. We are going to make the straight stitch on the other side. So we finished stitching one side with the flap in between, and we are going to do this on the other side, a simple straight stitch. Now once we have finished doing that, so on both sides we have attached the main fabric to the lining fabric. It's just a simple straight stitch. That is done. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to open it like this, flatten it. The joint, the center joints, we are going to match it like this, the stitch mark of the joint. We are going to match it, and we are going to clip it. Okay, we'll flatten all the sides also. On both the sides, the joint, that is where we have joined the lining and the main fabric, we are going to clip it like this. Now what we have to do in this is, we have to make a, just flatten this. Now we'll have to make a straight stitch on the sides. On the lining, one side we are going to leave around 2 to 3 inches. That is for turning the pouch inside out. Rest the whole thing we are going to stitch it all around. So it is a straight stitch. The main fabric is completely stitched. The lining fabric, on one side there will be an opening for turning the pouch inside out, or else we won't be able to turn it. So one side is done. Now on the other side we are going to make a small stitch. We are going to do a back stitch. We are going to leave a small opening and then stitch the entire thing. Again we will do a back stitch. We need to do a back stitch because when we are turning it, we don't want it to open more. So this is how. Then we'll continue with the straight stitch. So finish this. Just cut the threads. Now this is done. Now we're going to flatten the sides. This is the base. We're just going to make a mark on the base. We need this for boxing the corners. So we're going to make a mark. This is on the lining fabric. We made a mark, center mark. This is the base mark we'll call, and we also did it on the main fabric like this. Now what we want to do, this is for boxing the corners. We're going to match the base mark to the stitch mark. This is the stitch mark, this is the base mark. So we're going to match the stitch mark to the base mark and clip it. This is the base mark. Now what we're going to do is, we are going to take the scale and measure around half inch from the corner, and we're going to do that for all 4 corners. So this is half inch mark we have done. We're going to make a straight line over there. Now we're going to stitch on this marking. This is for boxing the corners. We are going to start and stop with the back stitch. We'll do that for all 4 corners. Now that is done. There will be excess fabric in the corner. We are going to just cut off this excess fabric from all the 4 corners like this. So this is done. Now we have to turn the pouch inside out. So this opening, we are going to turn it inside out through this opening. Just push the entire pouch out through the opening and neatly now box the corners that we have boxed. We are just going to put our finger and get it out very neatly. So this is how it is. This is the boxed corners. It will hardly be an inch of boxing. So this is how it is. Now we're going to push the lining material inside. Before that, we're going to just make a straight stitch to cover that opening. So we're going to just sew this opening. That is done. Now we're going to push the entire thing inside. So we'll push it all inside nicely. And we need to do a top stitch all around now over here. So just iron it if you want. I'm just flattening it with my hand. And we're going to do a top stitch all around. A simple straight top stitch all around on the top of the pouch. So that is done. Now we have finished doing the top stitch and our pouch is done and ready. So this is how it will look. This is a small sanitary pad pouch which we can take whenever we are traveling. We can put it in our bags or in our handbags, whatever. Thanks for watching. Bye.